Resident Evil 0.
A Midwestern town in America, Raccoon City.
Narration reading.
An island that would become the second Raccoon City, Sheena Island.
Sheena Island. So you mean to tell me that Survivor is considered canon? That's the biggest joke I've heard since Capcom said that the Resident Evil 3 remake is a finished product.
There are still many unanswered questions about these seemingly unrelated yet intensely traumatic events.
And you should prepare yourself for even more unanswered questions by the time you finish this game, such as, how does Rebecca manage to overcome all these events in one night but is so clueless the very next day at the Spencer Mansion? This is what happens when you have unauthorized personnel gaining access to the retcon button.
To uncover the truth, we must delve deeper into the events which transpired in the beginning.
See, when you say beginning, I'm thinking the founding years of Umbrella, not a game that takes place literally one day before the mansion incident. Spencer, the Ashfords, George Trevor, the early years of Wesker and Birkin. Just tons of corporate espionage and betrayal. I mean, yeah, you do technically include some of those aspects, but they're relegated to a couple cutscenes and notes that barely make up 5% of the game. That's hardly enough content to justify the existence of this game. Hey, stranger, you lost or something? Final Fantasy is about 12 clicks east of here. Take your macaroni shell summoning candy ass somewhere else. Speaking of which, being able to summon leeches by singing opera ranks among the dumbest things this franchise has ever given us. And this is the series that features Steve Burnside, the Talos Project, Umbrella Corps, the entire plot of RE6, and a freaking Ganado cult. Also, evil loves and listens to opera cliche. Leeches have the capability to eat through glass, the roof of a passenger car, and later power cables, but won't be able to do so with doors in-game. This helicopter malfunctions without having been shot down or hitting a tree. Now, I'm willing to believe that Wesker sabotaged the chopper so that it malfunctioned in the forest, but I don't give credit for partial information that is more implied and not 100% confirmed. He later tells Birkin he will carry out his mission of luring the STARS members to the mansion, but he doesn't specify whether that was Alpha Team, Bravo Team, or both teams. Details, you fool. They are important.
Billy Cohen, ex-lieutenant, 26 years old.
Those poor soldiers. They were good men just doing their jobs, and that scum murdered them and escaped.
I mean, you could conduct a proper investigation before you come to that conclusion, but by all means, establish your grizzle there, buddy.
All right, everyone, let's separate and survey the area.
You are Bravo Team, which is a unit that is already separate from Alpha Team. There is no reason to split up any further. When your mission involves you investigating suspicious murders, best not to reinforce one of the oldest horror tropes in entertainment. Earth to Rebecca. Splitting from the group does not mean run entirely solo from the team. Is it standard in the dress code for medics to be wearing ribbon chokers, especially for you, Rebecca? Save it for when you and Wesker engage in your
complete global penetration.
Good to see that the teleporting dead are back in full force. That or they've already become efficient at opening doors, and we're not even in the Outbreak games yet. Billy now has a gun in his possession, which means he now has the capability to defend himself. He no longer has a reason to take refuge inside this train. Besides, the train is already filled with zombies, meaning he'd have to defend himself anyway. He could now escape, but decides not to.
Wait! You're under arrest.
No thanks, Dollface. I've already worn handcuffs.
You're still technically wearing handcuffs. Worn is a word used to describe past tense. What's worse is that the handcuffs could have been used as a major plot point for later in the game, such as Billy getting out of control and Rebecca being forced to handcuff him, being able to easily do so since he's already partially wearing them. But it's a detail that ends up going nowhere.
I could shoot, you know.
Billy exerted so much bad boy energy that Rebecca didn't even bother to arrest him, despite the fact that he's an escaped prisoner and just pointed a gun at her. And she's an officer. Are you paying attention, fellas? Display confidence and she will let you get away with things.
Edward! Are you alright?
The guy literally busted through the train window and is mortally wounded. Glad to see your medical expertise on full display. Sorry, RE0. Cerberus busting through a window to catch you by surprise only works in RE1, because we had never seen anything like that before. Old dogs can't reuse the same old tricks.
We've obtained detailed information on the fugitive from a document found in the wrecked wagon. Billy Cohen killed as many as 23 people.
I mean, wouldn't you have already found those details in the profile Rebecca recovered? Probably should have told everyone about that before you decided to split up.
Why don't we cooperate? Listen, little girl, if you haven't noticed, there's some pretty freaked out things on this train. and I for one want to get out of here.
If the train is what you're concerned about, just leave the train. It's already stationary. Plus, just a minute ago, you didn't want to be around Rebecca because she's a part of STARS, and you didn't want a chance getting arrested. So it wouldn't make sense for you to suddenly desire a team-up.
I can handle this on my own. And don't call me little girl.
You're not doing yourself any favors by having the professionalism of a first grader. Putting the main automatic door power switch on the roof of one of the cars is definitely the type of dumb villainy gimmick Umbrella would implement. You would think after encountering zombies and an escaped convict who pointed a gun at her, Rebecca would be more alert and not gawk at obvious danger. I'm starting to see why Shinji Mikami has such a low opinion of her. Leeches somehow replicate an entire human being down to the detail of his suit. I wasn't aware Marcus was injecting leeches with a mutant X gene. Umbrella could have made trillions with a shape-shifting strain of the T-virus like this. Leeches are apparently thick enough to where the bullet doesn't also pierce Rebecca when Billy takes the shot. Marcus is just standing outside a stationary train wasting his time singing opera instead of, exacting his revenge on Umbrella, which is his entire purpose of this game. The train restarts by who I'm presuming to be Wesker and Birkin's men we see later on. However, that wouldn't make any sense in the first place. They weren't retrieving documents, samples, or needed the train to return to the facility. Wesker even says later on that the train should be destroyed. They only exist to literally move the plot forward.
Go and check out the first engine car. Listen. We gotta cooperate with each other from now on. You got that?
Wishes to cooperate, but wants to split up as well. Make up your mind, Billy. We're not on a Twitter thread, Say what you will about this game, but the partner zapping system is one of the most ingenious mechanics this series has ever implemented. It's embarrassing and shameful that it was never included in any future co-op Resident Evil game. What if I wanted to switch between Chris and Sheva in RE5? What if I wanted to switch between Jake and Sherry in RE6? Those games would have been much better if you could partner zap. The velocity alone would send you flying off the train. Add water to the situation and there is no way you are maintaining balance on that roof. Why would you reconnect the power cables while it's raining outside? These power cables are not Legos. You would need to solder them if they are to remain intact. The fact that Rebecca does not get electrocuted while it's raining and the leeches being able to morph into liquid earns this a double sin. Want to see something really dumb? So when you're in the service room, you won't be able to leave because of an object stuck in the keyhole, and you'll get text saying that if you have something sharp, you can remove it. So any sensible person would think, oh, I have Billy's knife in my inventory. I'll just go ahead and use that. But you won't have the ability to use the knife. You'll need to get an ice pick just outside the bar lounge on the second floor, and that's the item you need. I'm all for puzzles. That's one of the reasons why Resident Evil is so great. But try being specific next time so that you don't confuse everyone. Sure, why not have a giant scorpion teleport onto a moving train and pierce through its roof? As if we didn't have enough stupid in this game. Boy, I'm sure glad I was able to get this recorded so that you all can witness the bullshit hit detection in this game. So as you can see, the zombie grabs Rebecca, and Macho Man Billy Cohen manages to save her in the nick of time. But when we go to the status screen, we find that Rebecca has taken damage. The zombie did not bite her, it merely grabbed her, but it still counts as damage delivered. The game basically said, man, fuck your invincibility frames. That's a leather briefcase you got there. You could easily use a knife to cut through it if you really wanted to see what's inside it. Alpha male Billy Cohen doesn't have enough strength to open this hatch by himself. He needs a pry bar to assist him. Is Umbrella recruiting Batman by any chance? Why else would you have a hook shot on a train? Especially when we used a ladder to get to the roof just 10 minutes ago. Jumping across platforms must not have been included in Rebecca's STARS training, which is even more ridiculous when you realize she can do exactly that in RE5's Mercenaries reunion. Just an empty bottle and gas will not be enough to make a Molotov cocktail. You need a cloth as your source of ignition, and there are no cloths to collect to make that happen. Imagine carrying around a leather briefcase and the sole item you include in it is a key card. Oh, and this briefcase isn't secured by a numbered combination. No. That's too primitive for us Umbrella employees. We have two specific rings to attach to the briefcase that literally anybody can use if they have it in their possession.
This is Delta Team. We have gained control of the train. Over.
Dude, the train has been moving for quite a while at this point, and you're just now reporting to Wesker that you've taken control of it?
How was the T-virus leaked? And why did it contaminate both the lab and the mansion, as well as a train almost 3 miles away?
That's irrelevant.
If you're going to discuss confidential information, you might want to cover the microphone before you do so.
We must make sure no knowledge of this gets out. Destroy the train.
completely.
Richard Waugh is so damn amazing as Wesker that it's a crime he often gets overlooked. DC Douglas is cool and all, but Mr. Waugh will always be the definitive Wesker in my eyes.
How far away are you from the nearest branch line?
About 10 minutes, Duke.
The train has been moving for quite a while now, and the Umbrella Research Facility is located in the Arklay Mountains, which is around 8 miles outside of Raccoon City, and the train was already in the mountain range when this game began. There is no way a train moving this fast is going to take 10 more minutes to reach the Umbrella facility. It should have already been there by now. Delta Team ends up getting killed by the leeches. These guys are wearing full body armor, by the way. Yet earlier, little Rebecca, who isn't wearing full body armor, was damn near consumed, and she's perfectly fine.
The train will either derail or crash.
There is nothing outside or on this screen that you are not even looking at that would indicate the train is going to crash. Zombified Edward inches towards Rebecca and ends up being just a couple of feet away from her when the cutscene ends. But when gameplay begins, he's a good 10 to 14 feet away from her. Sorry everyone, we forgot the purpose of what an emergency brake is supposed to be. We only expect the best and brightest Umbrella employees to understand basic math. Oh, and don't worry about having to enter a specific code or anything. Just make sure all the numbers add up to the proper amount.
All you had to do was slow down the damn train, Rebecca.
You know, normally when someone applies an emergency brake on a train, it tends to slow down quite a bit, not exponentially speed up. I humbly suggest that Umbrella invest in locomotive engineering so that they might learn some basics. I see that Rebecca has been taking lessons from Jill on how to miraculously survive a train derailment. Impressive how quickly she spread this knowledge to Billy.
Please be silent as we reflect upon our company motto. Obedience breeds discipline. Discipline breeds unity. Unity breeds power. Power is life.
I see that the Umbrella training facility was also once a Hitler Youth camp as well. Makes perfect sense, actually. Explains why Umbrella became such a prosperous corporation and didn't have this philosophy come back to bite them in the ass one day whatsoever.
Who are you?
It was I who scattered the T-virus in the mansion.
Disregarding the fact that security cameras back in 1998 probably didn't have two-way communication, Marcus, well, the Queen Leech in reality, tells Birkin and Wesker that the contamination of the mansion and the train was all a plan to get revenge on Umbrella. Yet will spend the rest of the game not exacting revenge on them and instead targets Rebecca and Billy. You know, the two people who had nothing to do with the assassination of Dr. Marcus. No, just shut the fuck up. I'm already tired of your singing. Auditions for Phantom of the Opera ended a long time ago.
10 years ago, Dr. Marcus was murdered by Umbrella. You helped them, didn't you?
Dr. Marcus is one of the founders of Umbrella and the first director of this training facility. His assassination would have fractured the structure of the company, especially the R&D department since he was the lead researcher. But Umbrella carries on as if it never happened. Also, we later find out that the Queen Leech consumed the corpse of Dr. Marcus while he was old, yet it takes his younger form for no apparent reason. One of Spencer's numerous failures is not diversifying his architectural design, because all of his facilities, mansions, and whatnot all look exactly the same. There is no way I can talk about this game without mentioning the lack of item boxes. If you want to pick up something but your inventory is full, you will legitimately have to leave that item on the floor and will remain in that exact same place until you have room to pick it up again. It's basically the developer saying, oh, you want to complain about inventory boxes teleporting items? Well, here you go, assholes. Now it's a mess. Enjoy your backtracking even more. I actually respect this mindset. I too like to give a middle finger to my detractors from time to time, but as a result, it damages the pacing of this game, making it feel more bloated than it actually is. You would think that a virus as sophisticated as the T-virus would do a little more than just increase the size of certain creatures, and actually mutate them into a different form. It's only temporary, but unfortunately, Rebecca has to channel her inner Ashley Graham, just giving you a bit more irritation than you wanted. Also, nah, Rebecca, you dead. Have you seen a centipede devour a meal? They're not exactly the type to take it easy on its prey, especially when that prey takes the form of a J-pop star. Do you realize how flawed of a mechanism this is when you can just place two items of the same weight on the scale? It's not like there's a specific way to detect the required objects needed to open the path. Using a candlelight to unlock a door is certainly one of the most inefficient methods if you want to keep something hidden. Then again, it is par for the course for Umbrella. Ladies and gentlemen, behold the world's most awful chess set, built only for the most insane of buffoons. Bidding for this special set will begin at $5 million. Good luck.
You are wasting your time.
I could say the same thing about you. Shouldn't you be going after Birkin and Wesker instead of spying on Rebecca like you're checking out her Chatterbait page? I only speak for myself when I say fuck these goddamn fucking eliminators. Good luck if you ever get stuck in a corner with them, otherwise prepare to be stun-locked to death. I challenge any of you to find a more annoying enemy of classic Resident Evil. Also, Rebecca won't be using any green herbs or first aid sprays to treat that bite. In fact, she'll be able to maintain a grip on this caved-in floor for a few minutes. And what exactly caused that floor to collapse? It didn't exactly show any signs of crumbling when Rebecca was rolling on it just a few seconds ago. Did we just trigger a literal plot hole?
If the old conspiracy against Dr. Marcus is revealed, Mr. Spencer's career will be over. Not to mention ours, too.
We later find out that you two had Marcus assassinated with assault rifles. That's not exactly a subtle way to eliminate someone. How are your careers not already over?
As I recall, URC is equipped with a self-destruct device in the basement. I'll find it, set it off, and annihilate the place to nothing more than a massive rubble.
Yeah, strange how STARS nor anybody else will ever investigate the destruction of this particular facility, even though it takes place a day before the mansion incident. Rebecca is somehow able to radio for Billy, even though she's holding on for dear life with both of her hands.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. Just keeping my word. We promised to cooperate with each other. Remember?
I distinctly remember you basically demanding that Rebecca cooperate with you because there was no other choice but to do so if she wanted to survive. And I didn't hear you promise anything.
Listen, we gotta cooperate with each other from now on. You got that?
Well, I don't...
Clue in, girl. Or maybe you like being worm bait.
Yeah, I thought so.
This is Rebecca, over.
Rebecca, this is Enrico. Have you managed to locate Cohen yet?
A considerable amount of time has passed since the train investigation and now, and Enrico is just now checking in with Rebecca?
Billy, I just need to know. I need to know the truth. Did you kill 23 people? I'm not going to judge you.
Biggest lie any person could ever tell you. If there is one trait every human is inherently good at, it is judging. Hell, just look at me judging this game right now, and all of you who are judging me on how well I judge this game. It's quite a harmonious cycle we've got going on.
Our unit was ordered to Africa to intervene in a civil war.
Hey, morons, you do realize that Africa is a continent, right? There are many countries within Africa. Did your unit get ordered to intervene in any specific region of Africa? Those details would be nice to know about. It's like, hey, I need you to go invade America. Okay, any specific part of America? And are you talking about North America or South America or Central America? Earth to writers, just because you did not take geography class does not mean you are allowed to get away with saying dumb shit like this. There is only so much stupidity I can tolerate before it needs to be called out.
The idiots in charge had us operating based on wrong information.
Then the blame should also fall to the superior officers. This is a military operation, so it would be considered a war crime. Wrong information or not, you were still operating under their command, so they should have also been charged with murder.
Get rid of them! Kill them all!
Oh, Billy, you poor unfortunate soul. You found yourself stuck in a Metal Gear plotline. And yeah, I do mean one of those bad Metal Gear plotlines.
Did you execute those innocent people?
Forget about it. Doesn't matter anymore. That was then, this is now.
You gotta love when people preface their actions and then follow it up with a, it doesn't matter anyway, that was then, this is now. No, jackass, it doesn't excuse what you didn't take responsibility for it, and you didn't learn from that mistake to become a better person. You might as well have joined the police force if you're gonna have a mentality like that. This is some of the most impressive ketchup animation I've ever seen. Next time, they should invest in blood effects for maximum efficiency. One of these days, I'll come across a AAA game that doesn't include the Rule of 3 cliche in any shape or form. The odds of that happening are about the same as EA eliminating microtransactions from their games. If you ever wanted to make a valid complaint against fixed camera angles, just show everyone this boss fight. The bat flies around at such a constant pace that the trajectory of your shots will end up missing most of the time. That's why your best bet is just to stand in this corner and wait for it to attack you. Even a hardcore classic Resident Evil fan such as myself will be like, yeah, your criticism is understandable. You can have a pity win for once. Diaries have always been one of the clues to solve puzzles, but this one in particular doesn't make any sense. Marcus isn't leaving this note for anyone other than himself. It's this little thing called memorization, which kind of negates the need to write things down in a diary. Say what you will about this game, but my god, pre-rendered backgrounds never look so good. If only Code Veronica decided not to be the contrarian of the classic games, it wouldn't have aged so poorly.
I found something here that might make you happy. It's an aerial cable car.
This cable car that Billy points out can be viewed by Rebecca, since the walkway right above him is where Rebecca can save her game. So it's not exactly a new discovery. This is the second Eliminator attack that should have proven fatal to Rebecca. It's pretty clear she's not using her medical expertise to cure main characteritis. It's working quite well to her benefit. Billy somehow ends up surviving this. Leeches, which at one time attacked Rebecca without hesitation, now feel the need to stealth her and give her enough time to react and escape. Mind you, these are the same leeches that turned into a human-shaped form and have Plastic Man levels of reach. Resident Evil 0 likes to be a little sly when it comes to its level design. See, when you get done riding the cable car, you end up at the same factory as the one in Resident Evil 2, where you enter the turntable yard that leads down to the underground laboratory. However, there's a little trick in place. See, there's a reason why you're not allowed to enter the factory tunnels in RE0, because those are connected to the cable car, which leads back to the sewers that are connected to the police station, which is within Raccoon City. The cable car here is connected to the laboratory, which leads to the Umbrella Training Facility, which is in the Arklay Mountains, located outside of Raccoon City. How can two cable cars be transporting from the same direction, leading to the same abandoned factory, if they're located in two completely different parts of the region? How are you even here, Enrico? You were with us at the beginning of the game until we separated. You didn't ride the train with us, you didn't enter the training facility, and you didn't take the cable car from the laboratory to here. Enrico, the apparent master of space and time, will somehow end up getting killed just outside the generator room in the basement level of the courtyard outside of the Spencer Mansion, which is in the Arklay Mountains, outside of Raccoon City. This man went from being in the Arklay Mountains to inside Raccoon City and then back to the Arklay Mountains, all within the span of a day, and somehow manages to survive in between trips. Why aren't we playing as him? That sounds like a far more interesting game than the one we're playing.
If we go straight from here, we should arrive at an old mansion which Umbrella uses for research.
We are not in the Arklay Mountains anymore. And you wouldn't know that Umbrella conducts experiments under the Spencer Mansion unless you explore it yourself. And as Resident Evil 1 shows, the Spencer Mansion is not exactly a place you can easily escape from.
Come on, let's go.
Wait! I've got to find Billy.
Billy Cohen? You mean you found that criminal?
Yes, but we got separated and...
No point worrying about him. He won't make it. Come on, let's go.
I agree completely, Enrico. That is a superior officer Rebecca is defying. On her first day, mind you. This mission should be considered aborted since the search and rescue turned into a massacre. But Enrico is allowing a rookie officer to continue to go rogue.
What is that?
You mean the tyrant that was on screen that you saw like 5 minutes ago? The same Rebecca who will defeat this proto-tyrant will tremble before a common hunter a day later in RE1. Oh, it's you. I legitimately forgot you were in this game. It would help if the pacing was sufficient and if you were actually compelling enough to hold my interest so that I wouldn't keep thinking about Wesker and Birkin. Then again, those two are the tag team champion villains of this series, so it's not like you had a chance or anything. So Billy ended up here somehow. Fine, I'll tolerate it. Sewers can lead to many different places, but whatever was stalking him didn't end up eating or killing him. This creature isn't a boss, by the way. Say what you will about Resident Evil 0, but it has some of the best puzzles of the entire series. They are the one aspect that keep this game from being a slog. And they're varied enough to where they never seem tedious or boring, and some of them will actually test your memory skills. Imagine if future Resident Evil titles put this much effort into their puzzle design. Billy must have gotten an assist from the creature that plopped him out earlier, because he ends up on the walkway, which is a few feet above the water where he would have been floating in. Guy doesn't even need CPR to revive him. Nice little characterization of Billy suffering from PTSD. Not that it matters, since it doesn't go anywhere beyond this part. And it's not like you can use it for a future plot point, since he vanishes to the Forbidden Island with all the rest of the non-returning Resident Evil characters. It's a shame that Rebecca and Leon never meet up in a future game. They could have shared stories about being rookie police officers soldiers defeating bioorganic weapons touted as the ultimate life forms on their first day on the job. An opportunity they completely wasted in Vendetta.
Welcome, young one. So glad you have joined the party.
Oh, congratulations on continuing to focus on the people who are not part of Umbrella and had nothing to do with the assassination of Dr. Marcus. So happy to see that you finally got your priorities in order. Queen Leech is so far doing a great job at its Brian Fury cosplay. Still lacking a bit of grit and menace though, and it's in the wrong franchise. But not to worry. One of these days it'll be on par with that Jack Sparrow dude from Superpower Beatdown.
Because I believe that Optimus has the upper advantage over a small man in a suit, eh?
10 years ago.
First-person point of view at a critical plot moment. There's no reason for Birkin and Wesker to reveal themselves to be traitors. That's not exactly how assassination works. This only exists to fill Marcus's revenge meter so that he can unleash his ultra combo.
I will take over your research.
As goofy as that laugh was from Birkin, this is actually quite poetic. In 1988, him and Wesker had Marcus assassinated and stole his research, and 10 years later, Hunk and his team assassinated Birkin and stole his G-virus samples. Nice detail. See? You can be clever when you decide to be. Literal deep-throating.
Now I will have my revenge on Umbrella, and the world will burn in an inferno of hate.
Where's your applause, ladies and gentlemen? Are you not entertained by your favorite Resident Evil villain of all time?
We'll see which one of us is gonna die.
That's impressive. It's rare for me to see a villain choke on his own cringe. Warning, warning. You are witnessing future Resident Evil shenanigans in this particular sequence. Kind of curious to know how Marcus was planning on using his leeches as a viability when they're extremely weak to sunlight. Somebody would have found a method to counteract that with their own weapons to use at night. There is no point in the game telling you how to unlock the ceiling gate when your AI-controlled partner will do it automatically.
The self-destruct system has been activated.
Impeccable timing, Birkin. You told Wesker you were planning on activating the self-destruct system, and that was hours ago, my guy. This game wants to have its Resident Evil 3 moment, but without a legendary one-liner to make this scene memorable.
Hey, Queenie! Feast on this!
My point, exactly. Oh, now this fool decides to get rid of his handcuffs.
Officially, Lieutenant Billy Cohen is dead.
Yeah, I'm just a zombie now.
Wasted potential. You know how much more awesome the RE1 remake would have been if you saw a zombified Billy roaming around the Spencer mansion? You know, since RE0 was once being developed for the N64. Or even the RE2 and RE3 remake, where Billy could have gotten turned in the Arklay Mountains and then found his way down to Raccoon City. Alright, time for Umbrella Chronicles to make more sense as to why I'm heading to this mansion. I'm gonna disappear from the series until Vendetta. Teehee.